Hello, it is Friday the 1st of October 2025. The time, of course, is 10 past tomorrow. And today I'm going to talk about this growing misunderstanding out there that I'm keeping tabs on and watching develop, and about what it means exactly for a business to be AI adaptive. So, for much of the early AI era, this technology has largely been portrayed as an efficiency play. It's a technology that will automate tasks and cut costs and get everything done faster. And I think that has been a logical starting point for us all collectively to begin with AI, but it's also been a narrow focus. And so I noticed that that particular portrayal of what AI means to us as this radical efficiency agent that's actually starting to shift a little bit as the companies and organizations out the front of the pack are starting to approach AI with a bit of a different mindset. And it's a mindset that sees efficiency, that first play that we've had with efficiency as the foundation, but for them it's not the finish line. In short, I'd put this in a nutshell by saying efficiency improves what already exists, but it doesn't change what's possible. And my later point is I'm going to tie this together to the ongoing conversation that we have about what does AI mean for jobs, individually and collectively at large. So to explain more, I've started to notice that organizations and companies who I'd define as being at the frontier with AI, they're beginning to see AI less as just a productivity tool. Yes, it is that, but also they're starting to see it as kind of a creative and a growth engine. And so they're not just asking the question of, well, how can AI make this thing faster, but also what could we create that we haven't been able to create before, now that time and cost and capacity are no longer the hard limits that they used to be, right? And so this is when things start to get super interesting for me. Because I think while focusing on efficiency with AI will help companies survive, I see this next emerging kind of spirit and atmosphere of AI experimentation to drive growth. That's the force that will help companies prosper and grow, in many senses of that word grow, right? Including jobs. So I think we're almost starting to see that AI is starting to mean different things to different companies, right? For those with a genuine commitment to growth through AI, the technology will represent evolution. And this is one of my main points, for those companies who are seeing AI as a creativity and growth engine, and I mean business creativity, finding new revenue streams, new outputs that weren't possible previously, for them, those employees will see their roles change and expand, yes, but the roles will expand and possibly the number of roles will expand as well. So headcount might actually rise in those organizations as new capabilities, AI capabilities, open up like entirely new lines of business. But those aren't going to happen by accident. They're going to happen through dedicated experimentation with AI. Alternatively, for those organizations who are just purely focused on AI as efficiency, where the ambition is just to trim and automate and optimize, AI will eventually come for the roles of those people in those companies, not to those roles. I think workloads will shrink in those organizations, and so will teams. And that distinction is really important to me, because so efficiency is great, but it doesn't drive expansion, right? And that's only the domain of innovation. So companies who remain obsessed only with AI efficiency and productivity, rather than growth, will slowly and quietly contract as fewer people are needed to do that same work. Right? By contrast, the organizations that use AI to pursue new markets and new value, new outputs, new products, new services, and new ways of working, I think they will find themselves hiring for jobs that didn't exist previously. Look, you'll hear me say, I think. I've got to be clear with you here, we are all making this up as we go along. There is no established roadmap for this stuff. The technology is moving too fast and the implications are really wide-ranging, right? So I think that the only reliable strategy that I'm starting to put trust in is that we need to learn faster than our competition, right? And so that's why I've been experimenting with treating efficiency as a kind of baseline, almost like a fund to fund growth and invention with AI, right? So in my own work, I'm looking for those boundary pushing companies who are excited by the idea of ring fencing part of their gains that they get from AI efficiency and productivity and optimization, ring fencing part of those gains and reinvesting them into fueling AI experiments in where new value can be found. And when I say reinvest, that yes, that is financial savings, but it's also the time savings for their people, right? So what this means is effectively those companies who are pushing out and finding AI innovation and growth, it would mean working in two tempos at the same time. One, you're accruing the numerous smaller but numerous AI optimizations every week and every month. That's the focus in the short-term play. But at the same time, holding this like longer, probably 1 year plan on how AI could create entirely new demand. And so I see that that's experimental leadership, right? How do we focus on the AI efficiency, productivity, optimization, keep that right in front of us, but then at the same time we have this longer plan of, well, what are we going to reinvest the efficiency savings into in terms of creating new opportunities, which then helps us expand. And so, look, this week I spotted a glimpse of what I'm talking about in this essay from a really relevant New Zealand story, actually, and it aligns pretty perfectly with these themes. In fact, when I saw the story, I was already kicking around all these themes in my head, but when I saw these quotes jump off the screen and they so perfectly matched up with these topics, this is what made me write this essay. So I'll share the news story below this essay. It's actually an interview with the CEO of One New Zealand, Jason Paris. He did this interview in San Francisco recently, and he kind of was describing his company's early AI results and also his AI ambitions going forward. And so the whole interview, it's quite a short interview. It's worth a read. I'll give you a few sound bites. In the interview, he said things like One New Zealand now has nearly 100 AI solutions deployed across the company. And those are predominantly across marketing, customer service, and network operations. And here's some quotes. Those solutions are delivering a 20% cut in energy costs, and marketing campaigns are being built 60% faster, and AI conversations are driving 4 times greater customer engagement than the non-digital flows. He also said, I think the exact quote, we think this can give us a 5-point lift in our EBITDA margin. We're in the early 30s at the moment, and I don't think we can get to the mid-30s without this technology. Here's a power quote. Most of the gains we're seeing at the moment are in productivity, not so much revenue. And so you can see where I'm going and highlighting those sound bites and how they relate back to the AI and productivity versus AI and growth discussion I'm trying to drive. My take here is that those are really strong AI optimization and efficiency wins for One New Zealand, and they're real world evidence that efficiency and productivity is the logical place that almost all companies and organizations begin with AI. And I want to be really clear, they're not to be sniffed at. I'm not belittling those business wins that One New Zealand are having with AI. They are incredible and they should be celebrated. And I'm also super interested in what will come soon on the horizon for One New Zealand in their plans for AI. I imagine that this is just the tip of the iceberg for them when it comes to AI efficiency and productivity gains that can be found in their company. I'm sure there's still a lot of blue sky to be explored there in the efficiency and productivity realm for years to come. And in fact, Jason Paris said so, more or less, himself, because further along in that interview, he said, we want to be the most AI-enabled telco on the planet. He said, though, and he also said, and this was the most telling quote for me out of the whole interview, he said, there's no job impact at this point in time. My clear view is that AI is coming to your role, not for your role. I'll say that again. This is him commenting on the effects of AI in his workforce. There's no job impact at this point in time. My clear view is that AI is coming to your role, not for your role. So my view of that quote is that in the short to mid-term, I agree. Over time, though, if efficiency remains the only driver for AI at a company, headcount will eventually contract. I think it just has to. Efficiency and productivity can only occupy AI for so long before it eats up everything that it can optimize, and then the automation will start to set its sights on headcount, right? So if I was an employee hearing those comments from my CEO, I would want to know what her or his plan is for innovation and growth with AI, so that I can have some assurance in the future that AI isn't actually coming for my role eventually. And that's one of my main points here, actually, is that, yes, I think One New Zealand's employees should be asking those questions of their CEO, but not only them. Actually, every employee in every organization in the country should be asking their leaders to articulate what's your short-term AI optimization, efficiency, productivity plan, and what's the longer-term AI growth story. Where can we use AI to expand into new markets and opportunities? What's the storyline there? Because I hope more and more that people realize they need to hear where their company is heading with AI, because that long-term vision of growth and innovation is what will really and truly reassure people that their careers have longevity at the company that they're at. And that will in turn engender trust in their leaders and in those companies. And I can actually see, you follow that thread, I can see this becoming a competitive advantage for companies who really get this, to be able to attract and retain the best talent, because the people will want to work at the companies who can tell a story of why their human talents and skills will be valued alongside AI-enabled innovation and growth into the future. So to start to wrap up, I'm definitely beginning to see growing traction in this shift amongst those AI adaptive organizations who are kind of out at the front of the pack. I think if more of us can move beyond this mindset of AI only being about efficiency and productivity, and begin to explore, opportunities that were previously impossible before AI. I think if more of us can adopt that mindset, we will start to open up a new capacity for growth and growing jobs and growing headcount within our companies. I feel pretty strongly that the next decade is likely to belong to companies that start to see AI as a catalyst for reinvention. Those who are willing to design entirely new machines rather than simply run the old ones faster. And just to reiterate, to double down, we're still in the very early chapters of the AI era. There's no user manual here, no perfect sequence of steps that we've trodden for decades. But to me, that's also what makes this moment really exciting. To thrive, we'll have to learn by doing and experimenting. And I'm personally really fired up to continue to help more and more New Zealand companies, New Zealand organizations, to use AI not just to improve their operations, but to reimagine their possibilities. If you're on board with these ideas, I would love to hear your comments below and or find me over on LinkedIn.